Welcome back to the podcast, From Dentist to De Novo. I'm Jonathan Miller, and I couldn't be more excited to have a certified Instagram influencer, but also a dentist, and also a mom, and also a wife. And I think the term sometimes these days is maybe mom boss. Have you heard that, Doc? Yes.
Yeah.
This is Joyce, the dentist. I might say Doc or Doctor. I hope that's okay. But I'm so excited that you decided to come in and join me here. And I know your practice isn't too far away, but you are busy. So thank you for that. Round of applause, if you will. But so thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Let's dive into, because we've already been chatting and we could probably go on for hours here, but let's dive into, I bring that part up about, well, let's be honest. When I first messaged you about being on the podcast, you were like, I'm not a startup, and like we didn't work together. All true. I wanted you to talk about those things I mentioned. I work with a lot of female dentists, and it's funny, sometimes we're starting a project and then they call me up and go, we have news, and I already know what's about to be said next. We're expecting, and we're expecting sometimes our first one or sometimes our second or third, or I can very distinctively remember one of the female dentists I helped not too long ago. She was not expecting at all and just kind of surprised we're having a third, much later in life. When she thought she was maybe done having kids, so she decided, let's have a startup. And then also now let's have a little one. And so I wanted to hear a lot about that, because I find that, I think that if I'm being frank, I find that women business owners are better than male business owners for certain reasons, and I will say why. One of the biggest ones is you're more, typically in my experience, more caring about the relationship and about the experience. Whereas when I ask, and I did this one time in a room full of dental students, raise your hand on who wants to be a practice owner or not. All the guys raised their hand, very kind of like chests out. And one girl, and it was a 50-50 mix, one girl was like, this. And I said, well, why just one? What's going on? And all the guys were like, well, I know about profits and about bottom lines and margins and EBITDAs and this and the other. So I asked the lady, I'm like, hey, why would you kind of raise your hand? And she's like, well, I really prioritize work-life balance, and I might want to have children one day, and I care about the relationships and about the patient experience. And I kind of told all the guys in the room, that's the proper way. So this is why I wanted to have you on to talk about your, being a mom and being a wife, and you got to be present in all those arenas. Plus you're the CEO of your enterprise, and you run a team, and you run a household and all that stuff. So how did you, obviously when you started your practice, you bought it, is that correct? Or how did that come about?
Yeah.
So when did you have this idea that you were going to go into practice ownership? Always knew it, or sort of kind of knew it, or?
No, I actually never wanted to be a practice owner.
Awesome.
My mom was a practice owner.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's a dentist, USC 86. She was one of the few females that went on to own her own practice. So I grew up in the dental space.
Oh.
I'm a dental nepo baby.
Okay.
So I always knew I didn't want to be a practice owner. Even when I was going to dental school, people were like, why did your mom sell her practice while I was in dental school? I was like, well, I'm not going to be a practice owner. It looks hard.
True.
And she never came to any of my things when I was growing up, and I was kind of like, I'm going to do it differently. So when I joined the workforce, I was an associate, and then I never really wanted to open, and then fast forward, I opened. So it was never in the plans. My original goal was to work 3 days a week and go to Pilates, go to Fashion Island with my stroller, and live a balanced life. But that didn't really happen. So yeah, you never planned for it. And the funny thing is, when you said that a lot of the people that you work with, women who are doing their startups, they end up getting pregnant.
Yes.
I have noticed this. A lot of people.
It's a phenomenon.
Yes. I feel like all my I don't know if it's all. It's really common, I think, when women are doing startups, they get pregnant, or they're doing both at the same time. Have you noticed that?
I mean, it's happened a lot with me, but I didn't know it was I didn't know it was a common theme. I just thought it was oh, this is happening.
I said it on Instagram stories the other day, and then a bunch of my friends who are pregnant doing startups, they were like, it's me, that's me, that's me. But I think there's an energy about being pregnant. I have this theory. It's kind of you know how when you're pregnant in the third trimester, you're nesting? I feel like it's a nesting energy. And
I only know from the guy's side, so sort of.
You start taking cleaning things, making things orderly, and then that energy is just so abundant and powerful. And when you put it into a practice setting, they like get everything ready for their practice, and then the practice opens. And I honestly don't know how they do it after that.
Okay. No, fair enough. So when you opened, then you had baby? Is that?
So I took over the practice in 2014.
Okay.
And then I had Preston, my firstborn, 2020. I was already married for like several years.
Okay,
and
wow.
I actually didn't want to have kids for a while because I just never felt ready as the years were going by. And then I decided to, try because I was like getting old. And then my gynecologist was like, you got to try around like 44, 45 at least.
Okay.
And we got pregnant during the pandemic.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
It's a scary time to get pregnant.
Yes. But it was like, and I cried. I cried when I found out I was pregnant because I just wasn't like mentally ready, emotionally ready. And even though I had a good marriage and everything, but I thought it was going to like ruin my career or derail my career or detract from my career in some way. And I really didn't want that because my career was always number one for me. And so, yeah, that's kind of why I cried. But what I found is that after I had Preston, I became even more like laser focused on my career. And now I have number 2. I just took a 3-month maternity leave and closed the practice. And I'm back and the practice is doing better than ever, which thank God, because I drained my bank account to go on that maternity leave. But there's like a really focused energy about being pregnant.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also find a lot of, whenever I'm talking to doctors that have had children, there's a lot of analogies to raising children and building a practice. And there's stages of growth and there's all these things. And so I also think there's something to that. What I told my wife one day when we were in this, like, our boys are grown up now. Well, 7 and 5, so they're grown up a bit. They don't nap anymore. We're past that stage, right? And so the stuff, though, that we figured out we could accomplish in like a 30-minute nap, I'm like, we would have ran the world by now if we knew how effective we could be. But when you don't have kids, you're kind of like, 30 minutes, this, that, the other. When you have to be super effective with that 30 minutes, you figure that out during nap time of children. And then when you need to be effective in your practice, you know that there isn't any minute to waste. And you're just, I don't know, I find that there's something to that part to piggyback off of your nesting energy, but also just like, I know that this time is precious and valuable and I need to get this, I need to get this ish done, if you will. So I think there's something there to that.
Yeah, you become like focused.
Laser
and nothing
focused.
gets in the way.
Yes.
Actually, there's a lot of soul searching that happens when you have the baby and then you have the career that you like were building so seriously for a long time. The baby, it doesn't ruin your career by any means, but it makes you rethink the way that you spend your time, which is your most valuable asset. And then you kind of have to trim your life in a way. Like all the stuff that I used to do that was not important, it had to go. And then when you put all that energy into the things that actually matter, it blossoms so much more because you're putting all of that energy into one direction.
Does it make you feel like about, raising your children? I know your son's 5 now, right? Is he just turning 5 or?
He's like 5 and 4 months.
Okay, 5 and 4 months. Is there any part of you that's like, hey, I'm doing this to show them like kind of what a mom boss is and that mom can do? Because you grew up with obviously clearly a powerful woman figure. I mean, it was very much male dominated back then. We're starting to see kind of a tide turn in that, like it's not, I think that most of the practices changing hands today are male owners. But I think that we're definitely seeing the tide turn. We see it in dental school graduation rates and more females coming out of school. Are you doing a little bit of this for that too? Like, hey, mom you can do it all. You could be all these things if you want, or no, not really?
I wish I could say that I was doing it for them, like so they could see me do it all. Because sometimes I do think that, and sometimes I'll share like Instagram inspiration that is along those lines. But if I'm going to be really honest, I do it for myself. I'm not built to not have a career. If I had to stay home every day and be a stay-at-home wife, which is really hard.
Yes, I agree.
I don't think that I could. I think I would be depressed if I had to do that. So I just think I'm wired to have a career, and I do that for myself. Now that I have a daughter, I kind of feel a little bit more that I'm doing it for her too. But like, let's be real, even if I didn't have her, I'd be doing what I'm doing because I need to have it to be like happy and sane and to have something of my own. And I think that's what I want them to see.
Okay. So then it's interesting because usually the way you talk about it, I would have said, oh, you started your practice for sure. But you took over a practice, is that correct? It just took it over from somebody you knew or somebody who was like, hey, this is kind of cool if you want to come in here and associate. Like, did you do the associate track to ownership track or were they like, hey, it's for sale, come in and get it if you want it?
It was for sale.
Okay.
And back in, I don't know what has happened, but in 2014, this is a 2-chair practice, by the way.
Okay.
Which is a non-desirable practice. I could sell it for almost nothing now.
Fair enough,
But
yeah.
like back then, there was an 8-person wait list for this practice.
Oh.
I was fighting for this practice.
Whoa.
And I just like saw it on some broker's
yeah, okay.
listing, went in, I was like, this is the one. My mom was like, don't do it. It's a really bad location. Although it's like close to here, it's in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So it's in a good like macro area, but micro, no walk by
Like
traffic,
visibility isn't
anything like
yeah,
that. It's not a very good location.
Okay.
And thank God I have social media. That's how I get my patients. But back then I didn't have social media. So my mom was really worried about that. And I didn't listen to her. I really fell in love with this 2-chair practice.
Okay.
I fought all the people to get it.
Okay.
And then I took over and then I lost like half the patients from attrition. I have replaced every single thing inside that practice. I completely like remodeled it in 2022, 23, spent a ton of money.
Okay.
And then now I might be getting kicked out next year.
Oh.
So
Wow.
it's been a whole
Whirlwind, CEO life for sure, or business owner life for sure. So I'm kind of blown away because obviously at some point you listen to mom about dental school, unless you're the type that she was like, don't go to dental school. And then you did it anyway? Or
she didn't want me to go to dental school.
Okay, so you went to dental school anyway. Yeah. Then she didn't want you to get this practice and you're like, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe your mom's really, really smart with this reverse psychology thing. I don't know. Or maybe you just, this is one of those relationships. But so mom says don't do it. The macro looks good, but the traditional, we'll call it curb appeal was not there. And you somehow just felt it in your gut, I would say. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. So the reason why I'm reiterating that so much, especially for the audience, is when I work with startup doctors or buying doctors, we can analyze the data as much as you want, but I tell them all, look, like you still have to you have to make the decision. Is this right for you or not? Because the analytics can say whatever they say. People will tell you what they think is the right thing. And of course, with social media today, if you went out and put out your practice, hey, I'm thinking about this. It's 2 chairs. Is this? I bet you most of the group are like, no, don't do it. You're dumb. This and that and the other, whatever. You still felt compelled to. This is the one for me. Yeah. And I just think that is important for anybody. That there still has to be a little bit of that. Because if you're not feeling that at all, you're not going to get enough data points or enough audience or votes, if you will, to say, yeah, you should do it. You still have to have a little bit of like, is that fair?
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
You were married when you did this? Or you guys were together?
Oh, yes, I was married.
Okay, early married?
He's like very passive about the decisions I make because I do what I want anyway.
Supportive husband, I call that.
Opinion.
I call it supportive husband. Yeah.
So I am just the type, like I'll do what I want, even if it goes against like a lot of wisdom. But I do look towards authority figures who really, really know the space. I think maybe if you're really close to me, I'm kind of like, oh, well, that's your opinion. It's not like you're a pro at this, which by the way, my mom is a killer businesswoman. Okay. Like she slayed it.
Okay.
And she's retired and all that. So I should have listened to her. And I am not actually a very good businesswoman.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing. I just like felt the feels. I was like, this smells like Newport Beach air. I was like, this is
fair.
cute.
That's fair, yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just going to figure it out afterwards. So I think that something that I do is I feel like everything is figure outable. And I also do, I'm kind of like risk averse in a way where the 2-chair practice, like what's the worst that could happen? The startup though, that scares me. People have asked me, would you do a startup right now? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm scared. So like, even though I do what I want, there's a part of me that's kind of like, I don't do everything that I want.
Yeah. Well, your husband did a startup recently.
Just did a startup.
Yeah. Is it 2 months old? 3 months? I'm following the
Yeah.
journey on social. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
It's about as old as your newborn, right? Like it's kind of
much.
randomly. You guys are really all in. So he is passive to you in the degree of like, hey, honey, you do you. And like I said, I call that supportive husband. I do the same with my wife, and we're very happily married, and we've been married now 11 years this year. So I can appreciate where he's coming from. But were you in his ear to do a startup, or honey, no, please don't do a startup. This is not a good idea.
Oh my gosh, when he told me, so he was working at a DSO, and he's a partner. And, the drive and everything, it was really getting to him. And he's just like, I was pregnant with my second, and he's like, I'm done. I need to like open close to home. I want to be closer. Like that was his main thing. He wanted to be closer. But I think that there was a part of him that wanted to have that autonomy. And all of our friends are dentists.
Yeah.
So he sees how everyone else does. And I think that he felt fairly confident that he could have something of his own, and he would have to make that jump for himself. So when he told me he wanted to do something, I was like, okay, let's acquire. Let's acquire.
Yeah.
So we were looking around the area for a really long time, and just everything was horrible.
Yes.
And I remember that because I looked for a really long time too before I found my 2-chair practice that wasn't worth the 2 chairs I was buying. But like it's bad out there. The stuff that you're buying is really like the buildings are dilapidated. There's something wrong with every single one. And I told him, there is going to be something wrong with all of them. But there was just something too wrong with all of them.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, he was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do an acquisition. I want to do a startup. And literally I was like, why? I was like, are you depending on me to support the family for a few years while you get this up and running? Because we're not fresh chickens.
Yeah.
He took a step back from something where he had a stable job and he was making a lot of money. And then now I'm like, are you depending on me? I'm pregnant. I have a 2-chair practice, which, per chair, how much can you produce per chair?
Right.
So I have a 2-chair practice. I do probably better than an average 2-chair practice because I do cosmetic dentistry, but I am not the one to be supporting the entire family.
All the eggs in one basket.
That's your job. My job is to be happy and to do the things that are hobbies, like make social media posts and go to work and have a job. But I was, So he was like looking at spaces. We looked at all these different spaces, and I went along for the ride because I felt in his energy at that moment. I was like, oh, this guy, he's going to do what I do all the time, just like do what he wants to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I had to go along with his ride. And part of it is that he knows that I have some experience as being a dentist. And so at a certain point, I was like, why don't we look at Gen 2 offices?
Smart. Is that what you ended up with? Okay.
Yeah. So with that, I felt like really safe with that. I was like, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then he looked to me, and I think that he was like, okay, we can do this. Joyce is like, cool with this. Let's do it.
Was that part of it because lower risk profile? You don't have to, not as much time to build it out, not as much money to get it up and going. Is that why you were more advantageous, or was there something else I'm missing?
I think it was the money. When we were looking around, it was going to be like $700,000 to $1 million to build out, especially to his taste and a modern office. And I'm like, Byron, we're old. Like, we're not like starting our careers. You need to get in there and start making money. So I thought second generation, there happened to be one in Huntington Beach, near our house that was like pretty much built out. We didn't have to do very much to it. I say we, but it's really him. Like, this was his project. People are always like, oh, are you helping him? I'm like, no. Right. It's not my thing. This is all him. And I want him to feel proud and have that ownership because he deserves it after working somewhere to support the family for this long.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. It's funny that he took the leap later in career like that, but I would tell you, I see a lot of doctors come out of that same model, partnership or ownership track, and insert DSO here. and they, more or less get fed up, or it's just not right for me anymore, whatever, and they have to ease their way out. And they're, we'll call them older in career, if you will. I wouldn't dare say old, but it's your husband. You guys can say whatever you want. But I think that that also kind of gives you. I think of it like, I don't know. Did you guys, before you got married, did you date each other for the long time and then got married? Like, are you guys high school, college sweethearts or anything like that? Or no, you dated. So you kissed a few frogs before you found your prince. Is that fair?
I guess.
Or maybe one or two, maybe not. Anyways, my point being is that at some point you knew this is the one. And so I think the same thing coming out of that corporate relationship model where you're going, hey, I know exactly what I want, but more importantly, I know exactly what I'm not going to put up with anymore. And then you kind of have your kind of line in the sand or your list of non-negotiables. And then that's when you really I think those startup doctors are very successful very early because they're just so clear and so focused. I think that if you start too soon, you run the risk of still not knowing what you want. It's like being, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't want to say if you get married young, it's terrible, but I guess since I didn't get married young, and then I'm like, oh, that's why. But I just find it like, hey, if you know what you really want, then great. If you know that at a young age, fantastic. But odds are most don't. Most don't, and if you haven't been out of dental school for a while and you haven't worked at a few places, then you may not know what you really like and what you don't like, or more importantly, like what you're not willing to compromise on anymore. So I guess I'm saying that to maybe give you a little more confidence. I think he's going to do just great and be just fine and not have to just rely on you to support the family. And I kudos also, for appreciating that, hey, yes, it makes more sense to buy, but there's just crap out there. And I see that in most markets, like most major markets like this. Okay, we're being a bit dramatic in calling it crap, but the truth is that they're all going to be 20-plus-year-old equipment. It's all going to be dilapidated. It's all going to need a lot of work. And so you're buying, what I think you're really buying is somebody else's bad habits. There are certain ones out there that are very, very good. But I say that there are three types of buyers out there, and you may have heard this before. There's obviously the buyer that's buying for future opportunity, which means I'm buying a practice with patience, and I'm hoping maybe how your practice was when you got it. Like, hey, this is going to go up. I can see a path to just make it do better. Efficiencies, processes, maybe new technology, I can see it go. The other one is, hey, I'm buying for historical data. This thing has always done $1 million. It's always cash flowed. It's always done well. So highly likely that I'll take over and it's always going to do well. And the third buyer, though, is the one you never want to be, which is the desperate buyer. And that's just, I got to have something. I'm so sick of my job. I'm so sick of this and that. And I can't, and I'll just buy it. Give me whatever you got. I'll buy it. And I think that's how a lot of practices get sold. Because you guys said no. I
agree.
Yeah. Well, when you said no for all those reasons. Like, hey, I wouldn't put any money into this. Or what was it that was telling you, hey, don't buy?
There were certain ones. Okay, there was a little bit of desperation there for a little bit. Okay.
Fair, being honest.
He did want to get his new thing going, and then basically what I was telling him is, you are basically buying yourself a new job. Stop it. Take a step back. And even though he kind of knew what he wanted during the process, he still needed to have that exploratory moment. Like, there are moments where he starts to dip into, oh, maybe I want to be fee for service, or maybe like he sees how I do it. He sees how some of our friends do it. And then he picks their brains, and then he's kind of like, he has a new idea. And he's like, maybe I want to do this and not do PPO. But he kind of I think in the end knew that he wanted to do the whole PPO structure. It's what he's used to. It's something that he knows that he's good at. But I just had to let him have all these thoughts and go through the whole process. Yeah. And it's funny because when I do things, I don't need his approval or anything. I just do it because I'm fairly confident that I'm gonna either make it or not. And him though, he's like, Joyce, you're not supporting me. You're not supportive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm supportive. I'm supportive. And he's like, you're not giving me thumbs up. You're not. I'm like, this is yours. This is yours. You do it. So I had to learn also, being a startup wifey, how to be supportive, which he had never needed before in our entire marriage. He had never needed me to give him support. And then at that moment, he's like, you need to give me support. I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Do you think that's because it can be kind of a lonely journey doing a startup?
You know what would really get to his mind? People would message him and say, hey, it's so brave of you to leave your job and do a startup when you're so old. And then I think he was kind of like, is it brave of me? Is this a mistake?
Yeah, the line between bravery and foolishness
it was like a mind trip.
Yeah.
And so he would go like back and forth, like he'd be overly confident for a second, and then he'd go back and be like, am I missing something? And I think those are the moments where he just needed me to be like, hey, we got this. We got this.
Got it. And so you had to kind of step into that a little bit.
Yeah, which usually I'm like, it's your problem. I'm going to go do this. You do that.
Okay. I want to pull on a thread that you said earlier, because today you have, I would say, a pretty established brand online. Fair enough. You obviously have a pretty established practice, albeit two chairs. People know you. You probably, I mean, do you feel like you want for patients, if you will, or you probably have a pretty steady pipeline of folks seeking you out? Because it's mostly cosmetic driven, right? So when did you decide, hey, this is the route I'm going to go? The day you bought it, later on in life, always knew that?
No, when I bought the practice, it was a PPO practice, and then I grew it as such. I didn't honestly grow it very hard, very well.
Okay.
And I had no idea that it wasn't growing fast because I didn't really have that many like dentist colleague friends that I was connected with that I could compare to. And then also, I don't think I'm competitive in that way. I'm also in my own bubble, in my own bubble. And I was teaching half the time at USC. So I didn't really care, I guess. Then when I had the baby is when I left USC. And then I was like, we're going to blow up this practice. And then I was like, if I'm having this baby, if I'm going back to the practice and I'm leaving teaching, I want to do exactly what I want to do. And that's cosmetic dentistry. So then I started dropping all my insurances. And I was like, well, it's a 2-chair practice. What's the worst that could happen? I lose all my patients, which is not how you're supposed to do it. But again, I told you I'm not good at business.
Fair
but
enough.
I'm like, I weigh the risks.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can handle this. If all the patients go and I start building my cosmetic practice, that means I have lots of chair space to do cosmetic
Yes.
dentistry. If they
Yes.
ever walk in, I can do that case.
Yes.
So that's when I really buckled down and started building the fee-for-service cosmetic practice. So this practice has taken a complete 180.
Oh, wow. And is that when you really shined a light on Instagram and social to make that part of the transition, or were you already doing that?
I started Instagram in 2018,
Okay.
but I didn't really use it as a marketing platform until I realized that patients come in. And I had a few patients that were coming in from the beginning, but it takes time to ramp up your Instagram. Like, it doesn't just start working just because you turn it on and post a picture. You have to have a consistent presence.
Yes.
And then the more you do that, the more findable you are. And then, at a certain point, I was like, oh my God, this Instagram thing works. And that perfectly lined up with me trying to do the cosmetic dentistry thing full time,
Okay.
dropping the insurance. And I honestly think if I didn't have that steady stream of patients coming from Instagram, I don't know if I would have had the balls to do all the things that I did.
Okay.
Because it was a little reckless.
Well, you shared, if you go back to your Instagram, you shared some pretty personal stuff, journey about conceiving and other things. Like, you're probably not today, but were you ever worried that like, hey, some of the stuff I share on my Instagram might hurt my ability to be taken seriously as a clinician or anything like that? Or maybe I overshare my personal stuff, or I don't think that's hurt you, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, at some point you had to make the decision of like, yeah, I'm going to lean into this or lean away from it.
I don't mind sharing things that other people consider personal.
Okay.
To me, what's personal is like, if me and Byron get in a fight, I'm not going to talk about that online. That's personal to me. But like some of the IVF stuff, I don't mind sharing that. I feel like I've been online long enough where those, like, the people who follow me are people I talk to almost every day. It's not just that I'm posting and then whoever sees it, sees it. I'm constantly like chatting with people in the DMs. Like, I have never met them, but I feel like they're my friends. It's a weird parasocial relationship sort of thing, but I feel like I'm talking to my friends.
Okay.
So it's just sharing life like you would with your friends. And I fully believe if it's something that you're uncomfortable sharing, then don't do it.
Okay.
You don't have to share like everything about your life.
So I would have thought that, there's some part of this that like you, obviously it didn't pencil out, but I would have thought at some point like, oh, I don't want to share too much about this because then will they take me seriously? And I figure, when I talk to a lot of female dentists, they're like, yes, I've had to my whole career overcome some version of like, when I walk in the op, you're the assistant or you're the hygienist. And you're like, I'm wearing a lab coat button. It says doctor here. Why are you still thinking I'm the assistant hygienist? So I already think that like you have to kind of be that much more, if you will, because the way the lay public can perceive you. And so I guess, would you say that's one of your secrets is leaning into that and sharing, I don't want to say personal information, but like being authentic? Or, or did you ever get any like, why are you sharing that? And you shouldn't share that. And, don't do that.
No, I really did struggle with that. I mean, when I started in 2018, there were no dentists. I mean, there were a few, but not really what I was doing. And
Agreed, yeah.
I got shat on a lot by dentists. This girl's just trying to be an influencer or whatever. Fast forward
you do share skincare stuff.
I do.
Yeah. Which my wife
and
digs
I am
that,
an
by the way.
influencer.
That wife digs that. But please keep going.
But I think I wasn't taken very seriously in the dental community at first, and I still kept doing it. Again, I do whatever I want. When I think I've always had a very streamlined career where I'm like, you can't make fun of me. I'm fairly accomplished. You can't like say I'm just an influencer. I'm actually a practice owner. I teach at USC. Like, what are you coming at me for?
Right.
You can't do that. I'm not like a fresh chicken. I think that when you're newer and you don't have the confidence in your career and your like professional persona, it's harder. But I do think even if I had 10 years of experience and I just started posting on Instagram, it's hard no matter how much credibility you have already. And where I really felt what you're talking about when I had my second, I lost stillbirth. So that time, nobody knew until I was ready to share that because everyone just thought I was still pregnant.
Wow.
And during that time, I felt like that was like probably the most emotional that I've ever been in my life.
Yeah,
I'm not an emotional person in general. Like I don't cry. I'm a firstborn Asian daughter. We don't do that. We're like very practical. We get things done. I don't cry.
Okay.
But like that was the first time I was like not okay.
Of course.
And I didn't know how to show up at that time because first of all, I hadn't shared with anyone.
Totally.
And I was like hiding in my house and I was like pretending that I was just completely fine. Like in the practice too, people were like, how is your pregnancy going? And I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's great.
Wow.
But because I kept going like, it's great, I would forget that of what had actually happened. And I didn't want people to see me like vulnerable, feeling sad and vulnerable. But what was actually like really therapeutic for me is I made YouTube videos, which just sounds crazy.
Okay.
But before I had the second, I used to vlog all the time. And I vlogged that entire thing. I made videos of losing the baby, how I felt afterwards, how I felt like I had to always overcompensate my entire life because I didn't want people to think that I was weak or that I couldn't perform as best as the male colleagues. Cosmetic dentistry, when I was getting in, was still very male dominated. And I didn't want them to be like, oh, she's pregnant or she just lost a baby. I don't want to do my smile makeover with her. So there was a lot of that I was aware of where it was harder for me to show up really authentically. But I just found a way that I felt comfortable with. And I got that story out there. And it's not really a marketing move, if that's what you're asking. Like, I'm not doing it.
It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like a marketing move.
I didn't do it because, like, I expected patience. I almost felt like it would detract people, but I felt like it was something that I needed to talk about because the more that I talk to people about it, the more I realize it happens to women all the time and nobody talks about it. And so, long story short, I know I just, like, rambled for a long time, but, like, long story short, I found that the more I shared, it didn't actually detract from me. it actually humanizes what I do. And people found deeper connection with me. There are maybe some people who maybe didn't want to do their smile makeover with me at the time, and that's okay. It's okay, because the people that are there for you are the people are the strongest like connections that you have, and they're going to be there for you like thick and thin.
You'll find out who's really there for you, right? When you're going through something like that is kind of where my head goes.
Yeah, and then so I think it helped actually a lot of women. And I think having a greater purpose like that when you share certain things is a good driver in a way, but you shouldn't just do it because you're trying to help everyone. Like, you have to do it because it helps you.
Yeah.
And then it should help other people as like a, chain effect or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So then in that world of Instagram and growth and all that stuff, like your top 3 hacks for somebody listening about how to grow on Instagram, what would you say that is?
Oh my gosh, top 3 hacks.
Yeah, if you have to give just 3. Maybe you could do 5 if you really have to. Maybe only have 1.
I can't, like hacks are just like silly.
How about your like core principles, your foundations, hey, these 3, 4, 5 things you have to do if you want to do great on social?
You have to show up.
Okay.
You have to show up consistently every day. If you think about it, I know that like dentists, they look at social media and they're like, oh my God, this is just like one extra thing I have to do. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is amazing. It's free. The more that you show up, the more you're findable, the more people see you, the more people remember your face, the more people remember your voice, the more people trust you. So like social media is a trust building platform. You cannot just come on when you willy-nilly feel like it. It's part of your business. So like for me, if I'm, getting over a cold or something like that, I'm still going to go to work. I'm still going to show up on social media if I'm like getting over a cold too.
Yeah.
You might shut it down if you're going on vacation, but I'm going to go on vacation on social media too.
Yeah.
And part of my brand is actually being consistent, because I've never missed a week of posting since 2018.
Wow.
And I actually post 2 to 3 times a week. I post on stories almost every day.
Yes.
I never miss stories. So regardless of whether people think I'm stable or unstable because I'm going through something, whether they want to go with me as their doctor, what they actually know is I've been a consistent human being ever since they've known me. Like there's no major change up. There's no nothing. Like when you ask me, what do you want to talk about today? I'm like, whatever. I know myself. Whatever is true to me will come out, and I don't need to prepare.
Yes.
Like, who knows me better than me?
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
So you have to be consistent.
Okay, consistency, showing up. I picked up something there, which is you do, basically a reframe, if you will. So instead of looking at social media as a pain in your butt, you look at it as a giant opportunity. And I think that mental shift of like, can be fun or exciting or free marketing or help my business grow or as a part of my business, those are all ways to shift it such that it's not pain in my ass, a burden, an obligation, and all that. And I think a lot of dentists look at, even when I talk to them, like, you're not going to make me do dances on TikTok. I'm like, no, I don't want you to do dances on TikTok, but I do want you to be authentic and real and actually do it. If you wait until the door's open, because you're going to then want to shoot your chairs or shoot content when your door's open, you are way too late, is what I usually tell them.
Yeah.
But so that's what I'm picking up. Besides consistency and showing up, is I think that the audience should understand you have to reframe that. I would say that that's true for being a business owner. There's a lot of stuff that you can look at, and if you look at all those things like, oh, what a pain in my butt, you better start reframing that. And I don't know if you want to call it lying to yourself or being delusional, but there's got to be a little bit of a something to shift it so that you actually want to go attack it and be the solution, so to speak. But
yeah, it's like that one Instagram reel where it's like, I quit my 9 to 5 so I could work 24/7.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But you're happy.
Yes.
You're happy. Okay.
It is such a big opportunity. I've been like screaming this from the rooftops, because I don't do any marketing for my practice. It all comes from Instagram, and it's free. Before, when I bought my practice, I didn't have Instagram, I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Because I work in the middle of a neighborhood, but now people find me, like they'll travel to me, and I just like make silly little videos and just post them. It's crazy. I love it.
Okay.
And my husband who did the startup,
Yeah.
I was like, you need to be on Instagram now, which this whole time, he's my husband. He's been watching me build this Instagram for years and years and years. He hates social media. He's like, I'm never going to do it. And then now that he has a startup, he's like, Joyce,
Oh, no.
how do you do it?
Well, and you also, are you still teaching folks how to do it? Do you take on some folks that want to learn how to do it, or you have content about how to do it better?
No, there was a period of time that I had a course
Okay.
for dentists on how
Yes.
to like grow Instagram and things like that. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
It was not my passion.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So, but I actually love helping dentists. I just don't like feeling like their teacher.
Yeah.
What's the saying? I'm not a guru. Like, I'm just doing it, and you can come along for the ride.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think it's also challenging, when folks ask me about like, well, what should I do from Instagram, or should I hire a company and all that stuff? I find they change the algorithm and all the stuff so much that if you were teaching a course on it and then it changed, like, you might go, oh, well, half this course now is, forget this.
Yes.
So now we got to go learn this. And you're like, you're scrambled as well. I mean, I went to school for marketing. I have a business marketing degree. And when I was in college.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When I was in college, Facebook was just coming out. That's how old I am. So you had to still have a college, @.edu, whatever. And then, from the time I entered college, it came out when I went to college in Ohio, freshman year, I think second half of freshman year, it came out. MySpace was there as well at the time. And then, by the time I finished college, and then maybe 1-2 years later, it was like, Facebook's a whole totally different thing. And all the stuff we learned about marketing in college was like completely on its head because everybody was all digital. And you could track data better, and you could do things, make decisions faster with data, which was cool. Learn how to do that in marketing school. But the way in which the marketing was, it was like, oh, you can forget all that stuff, And I think that'll change again as we see AI search and all those other things coming down the pipeline. But like, if you were gonna go do a startup today or buy a practice today, what would you do first in that marketing arena? Or what would you avoid? Are there any mistakes of like, I want to do this crap over here? Keep that off to the side.
Social media.
Okay. Well, fair. But so you would brand, you would just say announce, you would put yourself out there. This is who I am. Like, how would you do that?
Okay, I'm not a marketing genius. I think
would
you're like technically trained. I have no marketing background. I was just winging it. The only difference between me and everyone else out there is I've been doing it for longer. So I have more data points of what works and what doesn't work. And I've broken through the whole like cringeness of being on camera and talking to my phone. I'd rather talk to my phone than public speaking. So people are always like, do you want to come speak? I'm like, no, thank you. I'll just do a webinar.
Yes, I'll just talk to my phone and talk to a million people.
I talk to my phone every day.
Yes,
I don't want to talk to people. It's fine. Wait, what was the question?
So if you were going to do a startup today, what would you do?
Yes. So this is what I told Byron. I'm like, you need to like figure out, because in every area, different things work. But you need to have social media because that is going to future-proof your practice, because social media is not going anywhere. If you think that's happening, then you're just like delaying the inevitable. And social media, like Instagram, may not be whatever in a year or two. Questionably is not right now, but you have to start doing it, because that like skill of making the videos and putting yourself out there, those are all things that take time and that are not natural. So that's where I would focus a lot on it. So like for Byron's Instagram, I didn't help him make his first post. I told him, if you make your first post like this, it's going to do well. And he was like, okay. So his first post, if you guys go back and watch it, is his handle is Byron the Dentist.
Yes.
Scroll all the way down. It's a video where he's not even talking in it. It's just pictures of him. And I dug them up through my phone. Pictures of him telling his story. There's like a story arc saying, like, I've been working for this long as a dentist. I had my daughter. I realized I couldn't do this anymore working for somebody else. And I decided to start my own practice while my wife was pregnant or something like that. I don't know. There's like a story arc. And there's like clips of him crying. And he was like, Joyce, why did you put the clips of me crying? I'm like, because it's the emotion. People have to connect with you. And emotionally, this is very effective. It did really well. People reached out. They were very moved by his whole story. Again, people were like, it's so brave of you to do a startup being so old.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people actually are in jobs that they hate. And you're kind of speaking to them like it's never too late to do something that you truly want to do and to like make that happen for yourself. Even if you feel trapped, even if you feel like you have so many obligations to do XYZ, you can't, it's never too late to do something else for yourself. And so that story resonated with people. And this is all within like a 15 to 20 second Instagram reel. But I knew that would do well because I've been doing this a long time, and it did. So fast forward, what's his next thing going to be? What's his next Instagram post going to be? Because everyone's sitting there looking at their phones like, what am I going to post next? Like that's the worst part about Instagram is there's always a tomorrow to post, and you don't have anything unless you make it.
So true.
So from there on, I just said, this is all you now. I helped you, I helped you. You understand the psychology. I want you to do this now. Like, and your next one, it's not going to do as good, and that's okay. But I want you to get in the habit of making these videos because the more you make it, the easier it's going to be. And people are like, why don't you just make it for him? You're so good at this. I'm like, I have a practice. I have multiple businesses. I have the kids. Like, I cannot be making also Byron's videos. The man needs to do it himself.
Yeah, of course. So as a business owner then, and as a mom, and as a wife and all these things, what's the toughest part?
The toughest part of being on Instagram?
No, toughest part of being a mom boss, if you will, running your business and also balancing all those things.
I think most of the time, I don't think that it's hard.
Okay.
Not that it's not. It's just not the way my brain works. More recently, I think I feel a little bit more like it's creeping up on me. And so one of the hardest things for me is reaching out for help. And I just hired a personal assistant.
Oh, wow.
So, and the first thing that the personal assistant said to me was, I work for a lot of families, and I know how hard it is to ask for help when you're like doing all the things. And she's like, I'm proud of you. I was like, oh, thank you.
That's great. That's great.
I think it's hard to ask for help.
I agree with that for sure. Yeah, totally agree with that. So then how do you and Byron balance it, right? Like obviously now you're both business owners. Before he kind of had a 9 to 5, go consistent, show up, do your thing. He's now about to be working 24/7 if he's not already. And are you guys just finding your groove right now?
No, I get mad at him a lot.
That's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of it.
Like, my practice is fairly busy.
Yeah.
And then I have to cut my hours short so that I can come home and do all the things for the kids. Preston, I told you, he's kind of special needs, so he has appointments and things that I take him to. We actually got an au pair who's so helpful. She's helping us a lot with the baby. If we didn't have her, I don't know what I would be doing. But even just like with one kid, there's so many things for him to do that I have to make sure he gets to, or like I have to get home on time, and I make sure I do that. And I've actually been on Byron's case about this. I was like, I know that you're doing a startup and that's like your number one priority right now, but like, do you ever think that you have to be home at a certain time? No. I was like, that's the privilege that you have because I'm doing it.
Oh my gosh. Too funny. Too funny.
Maybe this is why he thinks I'm not supportive.
Maybe.
But I'm like, I know that you're being busy, but I'm busy too. And that's the hardest thing is like, I'm busy too. Questionably busier, but I manage it. And I'm just like working from my phone 24/7 once I get home. And I think because I've been doing it for longer, I'm able to manage it. And he's still like figuring out how to. So I give him a little bit of grace, but I also am always like up his ass about like the expectation is that at a certain point, you're going to help. It's not just all going to be me. Once you start helping, I can be like a crazy animal and like start building more things and doing more things. I do feel a little bit held back by motherhood, but I don't feel like that in a bad way. I feel very blessed that I get to do all the things and still be a mom. But ambition wise, I'm really holding back.
Interesting. So do you have any regrets?
No.
Great. And what's next? What's next for you? If your kids were like, I pretend that they were growing up and could kind of take care of themselves and they wouldn't need you there all the hours of all the days, what would you be doing? Same but more? Something totally different?
I've really wondered this because if I move my practice to Newport Beach, the rent is higher. And to me, that just means I'm going to have to work longer, harder for longer.
Yeah, all true.
And I don't want to. I don't know if I've become accustomed to the hours that I work. Like I shorten my hours at work. I eat the cost of having the employees sit there so that I could go do the mom things, but I like doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would work more as a dentist. I probably would work more doing other things, or maybe I wouldn't. I like my life the way it is.
Yeah.
And I like being just busy enough where I feel like I'm going to tip over, but I don't. And then
I like that.
I love hanging out with the kids. They're like my pride and joy. They're so fun. And every day I wake up in the morning really annoyingly and I'm like, Byron, these are the best days of our lives because they're never going to be this young ever again. And they're such precious moments.
So true.
And that's my whole thing is I don't even think about what I'm going to do tomorrow. Or no, I do. In a year. I feel like everything changes in a year. But like I want to be in the moment. And I focus a lot on being there in the moment.
I like that. I often tell doctors because they'll come to me, hey, well, what do you do? Or how would you help me? Or all these things. And so, you know, a lot of folks talk about begin with the end in mind and all this stuff. And I oftentimes go, forget that for a second. Let's focus on what's the best next step you can take so that we can make everything else easier. If you were to look around at the landscape of the decision ahead or the goal that you want to have, what's the first, AKA best next step we could take so that way we can put you in the best position possible. Each and every step we're kind of compounding our efforts, if you will, kind of like diet and exercise. You know, you're going to gym and then do this and that and eat right and all these things. And then like when you'll hit your goals that much faster, maybe that much easier. And or when you get there, you know, you won't think, oh, I made all these missteps and I made all these mistakes and all that stuff. So I really like the like combination of living in the moment and combination of like, I don't really love a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I like to, hey, I have a goal. That's good and great, but I'm going to try and take the best next step, you know, each and every time. If that makes sense. Would you and Byron ever work together?
No. I don't want to. I think he's okay with me. Obviously, I would bring all my patients to his practice. It's my backup.
Okay,
Let's say
backup.
Everything else didn't work out.
Goes,
It's my backup. So like I actually planned for 5 years. Right now, I love what I do as a dentist clinically, and I know that I want to go another 5 years. But I don't know if I want to go another 10 years. And I think if I move my practice and sign a lease or whatever and have a new loan to pay off, that's going to be a 10-year commitment. And that's what's kind of holding me back right now is like, damn, that's another 10 years and I don't even know what I'm doing next year.
Okay. But 10 years, your son will be 15. Right?
Wow.
Your daughter will be 10, going on 11. But 5 years, he's 10, she's 5. Easier to take trips, I guess, at that point. Can throw them on a plane for a little longer, I guess, and do different things. And they're obviously their own individuals. So, yeah, I can see that. Because then you'd have a 15-year-old. It's a whole nother game. And a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old girl. Girls are like so much more advanced than us boys. You know, a 10-year-old girl's like going on 15, 16, if you will. I have a younger sister who's 12 years younger than me, so I got to see this in real time, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, what is happening with this little person? So
I don't worry about Harper. She's good. She's going to be a boss mom herself.
Yeah. So last thing, advice to the people listening, and especially the female dentists, about going into practice ownership. No regrets there, obviously, but what would you tell somebody who's listening who's like, well, I want to do it all. I want to have, practice ownership, and I want to be a good mom, and I want to obviously show up as a wife, and I want to do all those things. What is the advice?
I don't know. Okay, well, I don't know anything about
what worked for you.
A startup. I'll tell you what worked for me is I did what I wanted to do, but assess the risk. My rent in my tiny chair practice is like, it was $1,800 at the time. It's now $2,300. And because of those things, I'm able to be way more flexible with what I do, with my personal life, with taking a hit, taking 3 months off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people are slightly over leveraged, I think, and they're not as flexible. So it all comes in stages. If you're going to have kids, sometimes it's good to have something smaller and kind of, be more flexible on the personal side. In 10 years, I'm going to be a lot more flexible in being able to work. I think. I don't really know.
Like work more. You might have more to pour in.
Yeah. But it's all stages. And so you just have to make the best decision for the stage that you're at. And what I've also learned is that women are just, they'll make it happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They have the energy.
Yes.
So very tired energy, but they have the energy to make anything happen. We're crazy. I love being a woman in dentistry and being surrounded by successful women in dentistry.
Oh, that reminds me, who do you surround yourself with? Is it a combination of just people you look up to? Is it people that are all in the same exact stage as you? So kind of like hey, we can kind of commiserate together about having newborns and having practices, or who do you look to kind of either get more energy off of or get more advice from, or that kind of thing?
I don't hang out with a lot of people in real life. I don't leave my house very much. I'm an introvert, but I will leave. I've been leaving a lot more because of Byron.
Okay.
Because when he started his startup whole thing, I was like, okay, we got to hang out with people who have done startups. This is the gift that I can give you, is I have a lot of connections. And so we hang out with, do you know Dr. Savatooth?
Yeah.
He's actually one of my friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to hang out with him.
Yes.
And we hang out with Steven. We love Steven.
Yep.
We were hanging out with him before too.
Yeah, of course.
Byron's learned so much from him.
Yep.
One of our friends that we hang out with all the time, they're both practice owners. And Ron Pham, he did a startup. And then his wife did Preston's palatal expander. And so she's also a practice owner. So I'm more like her.
Yeah.
We kind of do bougie niche dentistry.
Yeah.
And fee for service. And those two are two peas in a pod. But it's great to hang out with people who are just slightly ahead of you.
Yeah.
And also way ahead of you.
Yeah. So like attracts like, but then you guys also made a conscious decision to say, hey, let's start hanging out with these people that are already where we want to be. Yeah, very cool.
I always tell Byron, I don't want to hang out with people who are aimless in life. I'm very intentional about who I hang out with, and they have to have it together, or not necessarily be successful yet, but have that personality where nothing's going to stop them.
Yeah, love that. Where can we find you?
On Instagram, at Joyce the Dentist.
Joyce the Dentist. Anywhere else?
TikTok, YouTube.
Is it Joyce the Dentist on TikTok as well?
Yeah.
Oh, everything's Joyce the Dentist.
I have so many platforms.
Yeah. Since you brought it up, do you find that one's trending better than the other? Is TikTok really going to be some amazing, super awesome thing? Is it something that we're overlooking? Is it just you got to do it across all platforms all the time?
I post on TikTok every day.
Okay. Are you dancing on there?
Very casual.
Okay, very casual.
It's just I just put up my phone and I start talking.
Okay.
It's practice for me to talk to the phone, but also way less you know how Instagram, it's so rigid in there. You have to have it polished and stuff. TikTok, you don't have to do that. So and TikTok, the algorithm's different. So I can talk to a dental audience, or I could talk to a public, regular, audience, and the algorithm will find the audience. It's not so confused by the audience. Whereas Instagram, like you were saying, I had a course. I didn't even promote it on my Instagram because I didn't want to confuse the algorithm. The algorithm is meant to show my videos to people who are looking, not dentists, for my services in this nearby area, which you can't target necessarily, but it's supposed to show my stuff to non-dentists. If I start making dental content, then it's going to go to dentists. So you have to decide on Instagram. TikTok, I feel like the audience, you don't have to decide as much. I have the most amount of followers on YouTube, but the types of patients that come in from YouTube are very, very different. So YouTube, very well educated. They've researched a lot. They are already bought into you because you've put out all this educational content. And the amount of time that they've spent binging your content is so much longer because they're long form videos.
Yes.
The patients that come in from TikTok's like, I love TikTok because that's where you get people who see you. And so if I go to a restaurant in the area, people will recognize me from TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Even though I'm just like a local dentist, they're like, oh, that's Joyce the dentist.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's still, Byron's always surprised by it when people recognize me, but it's from TikTok. Instagram is where I have the tightest community, like ride or die sort of community. And that's because of the way the platform is built. So each one does something different.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, thank you for giving us that insight. That's a marketing course in and of itself that I did not get in marketing school. So find you on all social platforms at Joyce the Dentist. Thank you so much for being here. That is a wrap. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.